So, what is going on, guys? This is Ryan here.
And this is the Ryan here.
Hey everyone, Razbowski here.
What's going on, guys? Dawkbro here.
And welcome back once again to another episode of Theory Thursday. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the newest teaser image on ScottGames.com. That is the purple hat. Now, this caused a lot of confusion for a few people because I think most of the community were expecting another direct Nightmare animatronic. I'm not going to say that there's not one in this one, which we'll be talking about soon. But I think people wanted to see like a golden Freddy or something in nightmare form. So we're going to be first speaking about our impressions of this image.
So yeah, like Ryan just said, when I first saw the image, I was completely confused because I was thinking, who the hell does this hat belong to? Because I think originally people thought that the purple Freddy in the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 minigames was actually just a hallucination or a ghost or something like that, just leading the animatronics to their safety, pretty much, or their release, as you say. But the fact that this image has been released just goes to show that this purple Freddy might actually be real.
Going on off your point there to do with the purple Freddy, I just thought it was like a clever device used by Scott, like artistic license, if you will, for the purple man being inside Golden Freddy.
Yeah.
So to show easily, really quickly, to who is inside the Freddy character, he would just make it purple to show purple man is inside of a Golden Freddy suit. That's what I originally always thought until this image, because the fact that the hat is purple is very interesting. Purple hat, purple bow tie has strong connotations and connections with the purple man, but also this shadow Freddy, this purple Freddy that we've now seen in two different games. Obviously the Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but now also the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 minigames as well. So it's quite exciting because he's gone away from the nightmare animatronics kind of, and he's trying to show us little teasers of something else.
I think by now we know that the Shadow Freddy must be important. I mean, in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, we just thought it was just an Easter egg just there. But then he brought him back in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, so we started to think, okay, he might actually mean something more than just an Easter egg now. But by now, I'm pretty sure we think that the Shadow Freddy could obviously mean something more. Because, especially with the other things later on, what we'll talk about the Fredbears Diner, because we haven't seen anything about Fredbears Diner yet.
Yes.
So we don't know if this purple Freddy could belong at Fredbears Diner, but people were saying as well, if there's a Shadow Freddy, what's going to be about Shadow Bonnie, because there's two different ones, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, you see, something that really grabbed my attention as well from this image was the fact that, as you say, we saw this purple Freddy character in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and we saw him for the first 4 nights of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and on the 5th night we don't actually see him, which I thought was interesting. So it leaves a question as to where did this kind of suit go, and the fact that we're seeing this laid almost on the floor, it makes me think almost that it's been abandoned. But we have to remember as well, we saw the hat going missing, so I'm actually speculating that maybe the next teaser image we see might be this hat removed. I mean, we all thought this was the property of the purple guy, didn't we? The purple guy seemed to operate them because he'd lead the animatronics to the back room, then he'd burst out and he'd absolutely shred the animatronics to pieces. But it makes you think whether or not someone else was really operating this suit, or if this was the purple guy's suit, who's going to be operating it next, if anybody?
Just as you were saying, but if the next image is the hat disappeared, then maybe we are going to get a very similar pose with, you know how we got Nightmare Freddy holding the hat. Maybe we'll get a Shadow Freddy holding the hat as well. Maybe a nightmare form of him, or maybe just as Shadow Freddy, if he wants to follow a similar pattern.
It really makes you think as well, the hat was in the spotlight, then it was taken out, and now we've had this new one put in the spotlight, and now we've got this property of some company, which Fredbear's Family Diner is the popular belief right now. It's almost like they're reclaiming their name, isn't it? Like, after everything, which is really interesting. So as we said before, not many people really saw a Nightmare animatronic in a direct form within this image. However, there is actually one in sight. And it's not in this direct form as I've said before, but it's more in the reflections of the flooring. We can actually see to the lower right-hand side of this image, there seems to be some kind of teeth and 2 eyes that we can actually see within the tiling of this floor. Now, guys, what do you actually think this might be? Who do you think this will be? Is it a new guy? Is it an old guy?
I personally believe that it might be the Mangle, because a lot of people are actually speculating that it could be the Mangle due to, I mean, obviously the reflection's upside down, but that's obviously because it stood in the background. But as we know, the Mangle kind of is represented by being upside down, if you know what I mean, in pretty much every pose she's been in. And the fact that I was discussing this with you earlier, Ryan, the fact that the FNAF2 sprite of Mangle was called He Was Here, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And the fact that if this is the Mangle, it's right next to a purple hat and a purple bow tie, there might be like a direct connection between the two
purple guy, and her.
Yeah.
Definitely, because if you have a look, I've been thinking about this as well, and me and Dawko have had a little chat about it as well. It could be Mangle, especially because I know in the dark area there's the hat's off to the side of the image. It's not directly in the center, so there is a space for something in the background. Now, the obvious choice here is actually Shadow Freddy. Is this Shadow Freddy's reflection? But thinking about it more, if it is Mangle and Mangle's hanging off the roof and the head's tilted a certain way, the reflection could work, because if the light that's shining on Mangle is up in the top, well, it would be the obviously, it's hard to describe it, but the light, if it's higher up than Mangle, could reflect the face down.
Yeah.
So if Mangle's head is in the right position, it could work. But the obvious choice is Freddy. Why else would who else would be there? It's Freddy's hat. It's Freddy's bow tie. The obvious choice is Nightmare Freddy.
The problem with it being Mangle is, again, if this is before Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Mangle wouldn't even be in the state what she's in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. How disrepaired, how it can climb up walls is because it's got so many parts on its body to do that. So. It just depends what time in this game is going to be set in. If it's after Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I can see it being Mangle. But if it's before and it's at Fredbears Diner, especially the property of Fredbears Diner, hinting that it could be set there, I don't feel like Scott would want to add the toy animatronics into this game. I think he'd want to stick to the original gang and solve everything. But I don't know. It depends when it's set, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when I first saw this as well, the way the reflection was looking, there appears to be two eyes, and the mouth as well. It all seems a bit offset, if you know what I mean. It seems like the eyes are misplaced, but upon closer inspection, I was thinking to myself that maybe it's the light source casting only on, for example, one side of the face, and that's what makes the kind of crooked look, and that's what might be making people think it could be the Mangle. I think, realistically, we're looking at possibly a reoccurrence of Nightmare Freddy if there's going to be no other animatronics who are new. I think that makes the most sense with this, and especially, as you've said, once again, with the property of Fredbear's Family Diner, and the 87s are still in the description. It all seems to be pointing to before, and I think a crucial bit of evidence that we need to remember here is that I think it's quite established that the purple Freddy is actually not a hallucination, he's a real character. And a lot of people are saying that these nightmare animatronics might literally exist in your nightmares, but we're kind of seeing this in the reflection as like a living thing. Well, not a living thing, but a real thing, which might mean that these nightmare animatronics are actually real characters and they're not these fake, imaginative animatronics that maybe the guy hallucinating on the Bite of 87 victim might be experiencing.
Yeah, because if you're a hallucination, you're not going to cast a shadow, not a shadow, a reflection.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's just the fact that they're entwining both of these different things in the real world. It's like Scott wants us to now know that these guys are real. They're not these hallucinations, and I think that makes them debatably a bit more creepier.
Because he's not written Nightmare in this one as well. So is he trying to show us with this image that these characters are real? They're not just a dream or an hallucination.
Harbored in the nightmares sort of bring to real life, So we've spoke about the purple hat in our impressions, and we've also spoke about the reflection, but now we're going to speak about the text in the bottom right hand corner. And what it appears to say is property of Fredbear's Family Diner. Now, guys, what do you actually think this means?
Well, I think it's pretty much what it means, in honesty. There's a purple hat, purple bow tie. It belongs to Fredbear's Diner, but the question lingering is that we see this purple Freddy in the Five Nights at Freddy's, I think it's the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 establishment, in the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 minigames. So maybe that's why in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, they're trying to get in touch with the past owners, because they've got this new animatronic suit maybe lingering around, and they don't know what's happening. They want to get in touch with the owners to say, what's going on here?
Okay.
The first reaction is, are we going to go back to Fredbears? Are we going to be playing the game? Is that going to be the game scenario? I don't think so. I don't think that's where the game's going to be set. I think we'll be going back in past to relive the key moments in mini games for Fredbears, or at least hear information through phone calls relating to Fredbear's Family Diner. But it's definitely going to be a huge point in the game. We're going to learn more about the history of Fredbears, because that's what we wanted. We wanted to go right back to... when you're finishing a game, sometimes it's nice to go all the way back to the beginning and
Yes.
find out the origins of it all. So
Absolutely.
it's nice that Scott's teased this for us.
Yeah, I was thinking as well the fact that if it was set in Fredbears Diner, there was only going to be one murder because the other murders happened after that, and I think it's to do with Purple Freddy. I think the property of Fredbear's Family Diner is the fact that this hat and this bow tie are the property of Fredbears, so we've never seen it before because it's from Fredbears, and I think we'll see Shadow Freddy shine in this game, definitely.
Well, obviously we know that this game is going to be based around, or solely the main story is going to be 1987. Else there wouldn't be so many 8s and 7s. And as we know, Fredbear's Diner was before, years before FNAF 2. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense how the story is going to play out, really.
It's interesting to think about another thing within this image, not necessarily the hat, but the environment it's within. Now, if you actually look at the tiling on the floor, you can see it resembles some similarities with when we've seen the original Freddy hat, and that means that all of this equipment is in the same establishment. And something else which is really, really interesting is the fact that we're seeing this Nightmare animatronic reflection also there. That could mean we're literally going to see everything within the same environment, and that I just find that really baffling and interesting. It's the same tiled texture, and I mean, this has been like a renowned style of texturing for the Fazbear's various Fazbear Entertainment. You know, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, the floor had this checker pattern. Also in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, like the parts and services and things like that, had the same style of pattern, and it does make you think. And if it's in the present, something that's making me kind of ponder over a few things is that the way Five Nights at Freddy's 3 ended was that everything was auctioned off. Is this to say that Fredbear's Family Diner is back in business and they've bought all of the relics that were sold at auction?
Maybe. I mean, the floor is really clean, so you're either talking about like a brand spanking reopening, or it's very, very early in the franchise's franchise's history. Like, it's not like Five Nights at Freddy's 3 floor or 2 or even 1. They're all quite old looking. Maybe not quite so much Five Nights at Freddy's 2 because it was the grand reopening, but 1 and 3 were definitely horribly health and safety terrible nightmare sort of floors. But this floor is very, very clean.
Even in the FNAF 2 floors, there was a bit of like dirt and stuff all over it. So it's kind of cool to see it brand spanking new, like you guys said. So, but again, with the 1987 and Fredbear's Diner stuff, I feel like I want a prequel more than a sequel. To be honest.
Absolutely. There's a lot of this whole 87 thing that's left unexplained, and I think maybe the phone calls would do it some justice, but I think we also need it's almost like we need some hands-on with this. It's been such a massive involvement now in the murders and all the things like that, and rather than just playing the game and trying to visualize it through these calls, I think being able to almost see it would probably resolve a lot of problems that you know, all these theories that people have been having, and it's almost necessary right now.
Oh, like in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, it was set in obviously 1993, I think.
Yeah, that's the speculative age.
Then it went back in time, and then it went back forward in time. So if he follows that same pattern, he should be going back in time anyway. So
absolutely,
it's all good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be set in the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the one we haven't seen, and then we'll get the mini games in Fredbear's. They're the two locations that are mentioned that we've not seen yet. So. Apart from sister locations, but we technically don't really need to see them. But those two locations have been mentioned many times and we've not seen them yet, so I think they're the two places we'll end up.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
So this 5th teaser image has actually been a lot different from the last 4 we've seen, and it's starting to cross quite a few things together, and it really does make you think, what are we really going to see next?
It is a strange one, because we've said this in every single podcast. We've been right a couple of times, obviously, because when it first started off, it was just Nightmare animatronics.
Absolutely.
I think we was obviously wrong last week, because we thought, most of us thought there'd be a Golden Freddy or a puppet now. The fact that we're now seeing items within the game kind of suggests that maybe next time we're either going to see who this hat and bow tie belongs to, or maybe another kind of item, maybe like a fan or a phone.
It's almost like you said with the whole "what can we use" thing, isn't it? It's got a very similar layout with the item, and then there's the animatronic in the background. Sorry, Lewis. Are we going to have to skip Raz and straight to Lewis?
No, go straight to Lewis. It's all right.
Raz, what you got?
I was just going to pretty much say the same as other Ryan. I was going to say I reckon somebody's either going to be picking up these items, whether you'll see maybe Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy picking up the bow tie and hat respectively, or maybe other items will be added to the pile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want a close-up, a better close-up to actually see the more details about this nightmare animatronic.
Yes.
I just thought as well, did you mention the fact that it's in the shadows, so that's why it could represent Shadow Freddy?
Oh, good one.
I just thought
that's a good one. That's a very good one. We're not seeing it in its direct form. We're only seeing like the mouth and the eyes, like we did, for example, with Shadow Bonnie. We only saw the mouth and the eyes.
Oh yeah, so we did.
It was very shrouded. That's a very, very good point.
What might be interesting is if it's the same image, but Scott he teases a little bit more, but a little bit more in secret. So he reveals slightly more of the animatronic in the background. So people will go to scottgames.com, think it's the same image, but if you highlight it, then something is coming closer and closer towards you. Or because there is that big space, something is in that big space there. It's not just the shadows, the reflection. So maybe over time he'll just leave the same image up, but for the people with the close eyes, will notice a subtle difference to the picture in the right hand corner.
Yeah.
It's kind of the perspective as well, though, if you think about it. Because when we last saw the hat, like the Black Freddy hat, it was kind of low down, wasn't it, looking at it? But this almost feels like we're looking down.
Oh, okay,
at
yes,
this
from
hat.
the perspective of someone.
Yeah.
It is
Maybe we're from the perspective of the purple.
That's interesting with the property of Fazbear's. Excuse me, I always forget the name of this.
Fredbears.
Diner.
Fredbear's family diner. It's almost like we're looking down from the perspective. It's almost like a grand reopen, isn't it? You know, with the hat in the spotlight. So it's coming back, or maybe it was just coming at the time of its release. But I see what you mean. Yeah. Whereas the hat before was literally a close up of the perspective we were seeing it from. That's a great point to raise. It's almost like maybe we're almost playing from the perspective of the shrouded CEO. You know?
Yeah, I guess it's like our eyes are more drawn towards the darkness as well, because obviously the purple hat's to the bottom left of the image. It's like, what's to the top right then? Because it doesn't feel the entire image.
There's definitely something hidden there, and it's just not the way you just don't make images like that. You put it in the middle. Like there's too much space on the one side. You would keep it evenly spaced on each side. So you move on with that. Or Scott could just totally throw us completely off kilter, and it's very similar to Toy Freddy's hat with the stripe. Maybe a Nightmare Toy Freddy, but that's very, very unlikely.
So there we have it, guys. That was once again another look at Theory Thursday, and in this one we was looking at the purple hat. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this discussion. I actually think this was one of our better episodes because there's so much that this image can offer for us all, and you know, getting everyone's perspectives on this is always great. So hopefully, as I said before, guys, you did enjoy, and be sure to comment down below what you thought.
Yes, if you guys did enjoy this video, why not leave a like rating on all of our videos, as this will be a regular episode on all of our channels. And if you're new to either of our channels, why not subscribe for more theories like this and also some gameplay.
So thank you very much for watching the video, guys, and we'll of course see you on the next one on all of our channels. Goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys.